a lot, whether you like it or not. Matt's going to be like, what do I do? No, Carlson. And that's, as a tight end, that's perfect. Receiver, that's not always good because you're going down the field, but if you're a tight end, it's short routes, the risk is lower. He's going to beat linebackers in 5 to 10 yard space, and we'll see how teams do. If teams start to, teams are worried about TJ right now. TJ Hushmanzada is the guy who drew the safety coverage. Atogwe, who's the Pro Bowl safety for the Rams, he's the guy who draws that down right now. So the safeties, you're technically usually your cover guy you'll put on the tight end when the tight end's good. The tight end's if he's crappy or less than.
Yeah, but how do you pull a safety out right now when you've got TJ, you've got Burleson, you've got you got Branch out there probably, and who else are we rolling?
Well, that's
I'm missing somebody.
Deion Butler.
Deion Butler, yeah, the new guy too. So you got all those. You got 4. I would say pretty explosive receivers, and then you've got Carlson too. You can't pull a safety no matter what you want to do.
You hit the nail on the head. That's what makes the offense potentially great. Is that you as a safety need to bring these to these receivers because your quarterbacks are going to need help. You can have Bush covered and he's still going to make the catch.
Yeah.
And then after the catch, you can go to the end zone because he's strong enough to fight his guy off. He's not a shake and bake guy like Burleson necessarily, but he's a guy that will just hit the guy in the face and then run away. And so that's why they're bringing those safeties up. He gets that respect in this league. And if you bring him on to Carlson now, we're going to start beating you over the top. That's when a guy like Deion Butler comes into picture. Because when that safety starts dropping down on a Carlson, then you go to Deion Butler deep on a fade route or whatever, and he's going to be wide open because there's not going to be any safety help over the top.
And he's got the speed to do it too.
And he's got the safety to beat them deep. And it really leads in, and it leads into what this team is kind of built around right now. This is a team that's amazingly built around a bunch of great parts and pieces that could potentially assemble together to be a great thing. But it's not, in certain teams you've got the stars of their team that propel them into where they're at. The Steelers are propelled by Roethlisberger, by Polamalu, and by Harrison, their star linebacker. They've got a couple other things in there, but those guys they really move that team. If Polamalu is out right now, this Steelers team is going to struggle without that guy in there. He changes that team that much.
Yeah, he's good.
Whereas with us, we take our defensive tackle and we move him defensive end on first and second down to help out on the run. Then we take him out and bring a guy like Kearney in to pass rush on third down. We've got linebackers that have certain set skills to do certain things. We've got a guy like Josh Wilson who he goes from the second quarterback to nickel quarterback so that we can bring a guy like Jennings in who's great on the outside, and Wilson who's great on the inside in nickel coverage. Now you playing to the guy's strengths. All of these guys, they have weaknesses just like any NFL team, but this team is making them play to their strengths. And that shows intelligence on this team's part and a break from what it has been previously.
Yeah, I agree. Not to move on, but
that was really
yeah. I like what you're saying there. Okay, so we're going to talk next about Nate and TJ. Good pair of physical receivers. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but
you've talked about
this specifically about Nate and specifically about TJ. We'll just kind of real quick, just kind of go over what they bring to the table.
Well, they're playing. We knew TJ was going to play, but Nate right now is playing Deion Branch out of a starting job, healthy or not. And you've talked about this to me. You've railed on this to me a bunch. Is that our receivers haven't been physical enough in the past. Our receivers can't do anything that belies any physicality in the game at all, and that's been recent years. Darrell Jackson had twig arms. I think I could break Darrell Jackson in half.
Yeah.
And the same was true. Bobby Ingram was great, but there's a reason Bobby Ingram was breaking ribs and getting hurt himself. He's a 5'10" on a good day. And these guys are different. These guys are they're not huge receivers. They're not the 6'3" Plaxico, long gangly arms for days. But they're strong. And they know what to do after the catch, and they have great hands. They don't have to be wide open to catch the football. They can catch it with the defender hanging off of them, and then do something after the pass.
Well, the thing that we always struggled with, and I think we kind of talked about in the first Hawkcast, was that our receivers, they would drop balls. We'd have guys coming in, and they would just not perform, and they would, Hasselbeck would be accurate. He would be. This is in his prime too. Unfortunately, now he's 34. He had these guys he throw to we thought were going to be good, Corin Robinson, these other guys, and it just would always be something exploding in front of us. And then we had Juravicious come in, and it seemed like everybody played better. Everybody just picked up their game. Everybody saw that, yes, you can catch that ball. Yet, Hasselbeck doesn't throw the uncatchable ball,
Right.
And everybody played, and that was 2005, and look how far we got, We brought in a guy like TJ, aggressive guy. He's catching that ball. He's one of Hasselbeck's favorite targets. And, I mean, to me, coupled with the fact that Nate was out most of the year last year, he's got something to prove. And then he's got this guy that's also doing and showing things that are like physical and challenging, and he can catch that ball, and he jumps out in the middle of stuff, and he's getting a hit, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I think Nate, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be, that guy we wanted from the Vikings when we got him from the Vikings.
And he's Nate. You're right, Nate's had that talent to be that. Again, you're talking to a guy that is Ruskell and Holmgren just did not come together on personnel decisions. Ruskell brings a guy in, Holmgren puts that guy in the doghouse, or Holmgren says this guy's enough up to speed my offense to get this done. Whatever excuse he has that seemed to be, I just can't do this with the guy you brought in. But Burleson's got skills. Is he a precise route runner for Holmgren's offense? Meaning he's going to run these routes that are so crisp and clean that he's going to get open with the separation? No, not really. He's not the best route runner in the business. He's got good speed, not great speed. He's got good hands, not great hands. But he's got supremely great athletic ability and ability to do something with the ball after the catch. And so what did Matt do on a lot of times this last Sunday? Matt found him on those bubble screens. When was the last time we ran a bubble screen on this team? Well, when was the last time you said Mike Holmgren throw a bubble screen ever? And how,
Has he ever thrown a bubble screen?
I don't think he's ever done a bubble screen in his life to a receiver. And we saw it, and Matt was doing it in situations. Here's the best part of it. Matt was doing it with his brain, because in those moments, and I reviewed this, I've seen quotes on Matt and Nate talking about...
Why don't you talk about a bubble screen real quick? Maybe some,
Oh, well, bubble screen is, of course, bubble screen is basically a pass to the wide receiver behind the line of scrimmage, giving the wide receiver an opportunity to work in space. And usually what happens is the wide receiver gets the ball by the line of scrimmage, the other wide receiver blocks the guy covering that guy making the catch, and he's got at least a free moment or two to maybe zip up field. So it's much like a screen to a running back, but instead it's a screen to a wide receiver. And Holmgren just didn't ever do that. He had guys who could do it good. Corn Robinson would have been a great bubble screen guy. But just Holmgren decided never to do it. Now, the Hawks did it where they actually called the play, but where they did it great was Matt would see the blitz was coming. And it wasn't just the blitz was coming, the cornerback blitz was coming. The corner blitzing from Nate's side was coming, and Matt would recognize it. And instead of Nate running his route, he would literally just sit down. Matt would hit him. Nate had 10 yards to work with, and let him go.
It is pretty.
It is, and it's the way that you use your talent. Again, we talk about taking these parts and pieces that are great and making that talent work with what it's good at. Don't go to its weaknesses. Don't make Nate, turn into a, buffalo when he's a lion. You're not going to get him to catch the passes. He's going to grab drops. He's going to make mistakes. But he's also going to be a game breaker. He's also going to be a guy who can take it to the house at any point in time. So
is he an old bull or is he a young calf?
He's a calf math. Half calf, half bull.